Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Editor's Notes with me, Cy Williams. Well, with the coming into force of the Cannabis Act on October 17, 2018, the Government of Canada put in place a new modern cannabis control framework in order to strictly regulate and restrict access to cannabis here in Canada. The Cannabis Act, Section 151.1, requires that the Minister of Health cause a review of the Act and its administration and operation 3 years after coming into force, and that a report on the review, including any findings or recommendations resulting from the review, be tabled in both the Houses of Parliament within 18 months. This review is required to address the Act's administration and operations, including the impact of the Act on public health and, in particular, on the health and consumption habits of young people in respect of cannabis use, the impact of cannabis on Indigenous persons and communities, and the impact of the cultivation of cannabis plants in a dwelling house or in someone's home. The perspectives of the public, other orders of government, Indigenous partners, and stakeholders are critical to inform the assessment of the Cannabis Act. The feedback will be used to inform the legislative review of the Cannabis Act. As an individual step in the public engagement process, a stakeholder engagement paper that was aptly titled Taking Stock of Progress, Cannabis Legalization and Regulation in Canada, has now been released. And it presents an overview of key features of the legislative framework, outlines national trends, and offers evidence related to the implementation of the framework here in Canada. Now, comments on this document will be accepted from September 22nd to November 21st, 2022. Engaging on cannabis legalization and regulation in Canada is important. And if you don't know why, well, let me tell you why. Gathering evidence and seeking perspectives from the public related to the impacts of the Cannabis Act is a key part of the legislative review process. The outline engagement will inform the expert panel's assessment of the Act and shape findings and recommendations resulting from the review. Submissions will be summarized in a What We Heard report. And however, comments will not be attributed to any specific person or individual or organization. This report will be made public eventually, in 18 months, on canada.ca. Now, you might be asking yourself, how do I participate? Well, to provide your feedback, you can complete an online questionnaire. And this questionnaire reflects the topics and questions outlined in the engagement paper, Taking Stock of Progress, Canadian Legalization and Regulation in Canada. The accompanying questionnaire there's going to be a link to that attached in the bio. You're encouraged to submit any evidence that you may have to support your responses to the questionnaire. Alternatively, you may participate by sending your written submissions in by November 21st, 2022. And you can do that too. There's an email that you can send that to, or you can mail your comments. So there's a whole bunch of options to get your comments and input in. The Cannabis Legislative Review Secretariat, Health Canada, that's in Ottawa, Ontario. And let me see. I believe it's K1A0K9 is the postal code. But now you may be asking yourself, who is the focus of this engagement? Well, Health Canada is seeking input from various groups across Canada, including but not limited to the general public, provincial, territorial, and municipal governments, the public health community, cannabis industry or license holders, academic and research institutions, cannabis consumers, marginalized and racialized people, and people who access cannabis for medical purposes. Oh yes, youth as well. Public safety and law enforcement individuals or people who work in that sector, non-governmental organizations. Any more? I think that's just about everybody. Essentially, this online public engagement process is seeking your comments on the following themes that are related to the Cannabis Act: choices, progress towards establishing a responsible supply chain, protecting public safety, access to cannabis for medical purposes, impact on other governmental priorities, for example, strengthening economic growth, inclusiveness, fighting climate change, etc. A link to the required reading and the questionnaire will be in the description box below. I'm hoping you'll check that out and go answer the questionnaire in the appropriate time. I hope you can all take time to offer your insight. For those of you who believe in the power of medical cannabis, this is definitely your time to speak up. Okay, that's it for me right now. Cy Williams, High Canada Magazine. I'll talk to you soon.